Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. Today's video is the first in a series where I'm going to take episodes from season 8 of American Horror Story Apocalypse. The focus for all of these videos will probably be kind of autumnal, fall, warm colors. Today I'm using the Colourpop Cute AF palette, and I'll just be pointing to things. I'm mostly talking about what's happening in the show and spending less time pointing out what I'm putting on my face, so I'll definitely put notes on the screen. But if you'd like to see how I got this look and hear a little bit about my opinions and feelings about the first episode of American Horror Story Season 8 Apocalypse, please keep watching. All right, so we open up in the salon where Coco is getting her hair done, and there is a impending nuclear missile arriving alert. And I don't know about the rest of the country, but I'm in the Bay Area, and that's in LA. I feel like a lot of coastal places have tsunami warning kind of things. And I also know that we have a lunch whistle. I feel like it was a nuclear kind of or atomic war warning system in the 40s and 50s. And I know that my area rings it like the first Thursday of the month at noon. When I was a kid, we used to call it the lunch whistle because it used to go at noon every day. So I do wonder what we have in place for that. But it did seem realistic for me only because I have that where I am. And I know that we have the tsunami warning things too. So going with full zip just to kind of set this. So something that happened for me too while I was watching it, I'm older probably than a lot of you, maybe not. I'm 46. I was born in 1972. And I know, because I have a lot of friends who are older and a lot of friends who are younger. And I know that there's a break. And I think it's people who turned 40 maybe this year. I grew up always being afraid of the possible threat of nuclear war. And I'm aware that there is a generation or two after me who never really felt that when they were growing up. And all of this was pretty triggery for me. It made me feel like it made me feel when I watched The Morning After when I was a kid. So let me know if this felt familiar to you, like in a real way, or if it just felt like a movie. So I'm gonna go in with Champs first. So they get the alert and they get to the plane. I wonder if we're going to see Billy Eichner again. I kind of feel like we will, but maybe that was it. But I can't imagine that it is. And the four of them get to the plane. So Joan Collins, Evan Peters, Billy Lord, and Coco get to the plane. I'll be better with characters' names as the season progresses. Same brush and big cocktails. And the plane is pilotless, which is very interesting. And that's the end of the first scene. A lot going on, but I'm skipping through a lot of it. A little bit smaller brush, and I'm going to go in with French Kiss. Right, and the next scene after the commercial is this family, and I think it's 40 minutes before the bomb hits, and he got notification that he got into UCLA, and they're very excited and dancing around. And then it's the mother and two kids, which I think that the kids are twins, fraternal and identical. And then the father presumably comes in, and I guess he's been listening to the radio, and he comes in to tell them that it's real. And then we get these kind of Men in Black people coming in, Buttercake, and I don't know who these people are. So they say that they're the corporation, and we hear kind of more about it later. I guess that not the corporation, the cooperative. Interesting that I said that. Not getting as much color payoff as I want with this, so I'm going to, it's kind of moving around. So I just put it on my other eye, and then I'm going to use some Fix Plus, same brush, and go back in and just get that a little bit better set down. So I don't know who these people are, and I'm moving through the show as it aired, but we still don't really know any more about it, which is, I'm sure that we will as kind of the show progresses. But I started thinking about kind of martial law, and if they are government, or at least maybe they're kind of like hired by the government, who knows. But yeah, the fact that they force him really to go away. They're at first kind of not really giving him a choice, but in the end they do end up kind of forcing him away. I'm gonna go back in with French Kiss. And because of Ancestry.com or 23andMe or some kind of thing, that's how they know that the kid has good DNA and is kind of poised to survive the bomb swing. And then we're in the holding cell. So we have Timothy, who is the kid who got into UCLA, and then Emily, who they found in jail. She had been at a student protest. I do appreciate the fact, because we're going to learn pretty quickly, that these are the people that have kind of been chosen to survive because of whatever traits, that they're the 2 of the dozen greatest minds, I guess. And I appreciate the fact that one of these is this multi-ethnic woman. Then the bomb drops, and then 2 weeks later they're taken to an outpost, and this is where we meet Ms. Venable for the first time. And we also learn that the people in this outpost are made up of the rich people who paid to be there. So that's what Coco is, and the people that she brought with her. I don't know about Andre and Stu. Still aren't clear about why Andre and Stu were there, if they paid for it or if they were chosen to be there. And we haven't met the other dozen, come to think of it. Whoever the other 10 of the dozen greatest minds are. Oh, and then the couple getting shot outside, we see that too, as they're coming in before they get decontaminated. And they're the elites, and they wear purple, which is interesting because of kind of the history of royal material, the material that royals were able to wear, and the fact that they were at times the only people allowed to actually wear purple. And the others are grays, which is a very kind of, I feel like that's a very ubiquitous, archetypical kind of post-apocalyptic thing that the servants wear. Venable says that she's neither purple nor gray, that we should think of her as the strong right arm of the cooperative. And she also says that that technology destroyed the world because it made us all think that we were equal. And then she says something about the canker pus monsters beyond the gate. I'm not sure what that means, and I'm sure that we'll get more of that later. She gives them rules, the most important of which seems to be that under no circumstances is there any unauthorized copulation. And she says, or she suggests, that the 2 people that we saw getting shot outside as Timothy and Emily were coming in, that's the reason why they got shot. I wonder why that rule is in place. I guess maybe they don't have the facilities. I'm sure that we'll have more information about it later, but it is an interesting rule. And I guess I would assume that there's no birth control, so maybe there's a fear that they're going to get pregnant, and then what happens then? Then Timothy takes a shower, which is also interesting because I wonder where the water's coming from. It seems like a giant waste of water. I would assume that even the water in the ground is getting contaminated. I know I'm kind of going far afield here, but just in terms of continuity and whatnot. But nevertheless, when it's a steamy shower, and when he gets out, there's steam on, or there's kind of fog on the mirror. And someone or something has written 666. And then there's a whisper that seems female that says, "Beware Timothy." And then the numbers disappear from the mirror. I like this. This is from the new Tutti Frutti collection. This is the banana powder. All right, then the next scene after the commercial is them going to dinner. And I don't know that I've ever heard this song. It's a song by the Carpenters. It's called "Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft." And I'll put a link in the description box down below to the lyrics for the song. It's fascinating. I'll just read you the lyrics that are playing while we see the scene. So this is what's playing during this scene. In your mind, you have capacities, to telepath messages through the vast unknown. Please close your eyes and concentrate with every thought you think. And that's what's playing, which is fascinating. And we're going into dinner. We meet Adina Porter, Dina Stevens. And she, I think, is kind of like an Oprah kind of a person. People know who she is. And then there's more of this song. And it's, "Our Earth may never survive, so do come, we beg you, please, interstellar policeman." Then the dinner bell rings. And then the song continues, oh, won't you give us a sign, give us a sign. And then dinner is served. Ms. Venable says dinner is served. So that is a really interesting song. And I was not familiar with it. Then they have their dinner served. Their dinner is the cube of all of the vitamins and nutrients that you need to survive. And Coco throws a fit and says that for all that they paid, that Gordon Ramsay should be there cooking for them. Meade comes in, Kathy Bates comes in, and Ms. Venable comes in too, and she slaps Coco. And there has been a breach. Someone has come into the grounds, and it seems like the grounds must be like a lot of miles outside of it. It's not just the little enclosure that they're in. And there was a carrier pigeon that came in with a message about the fact that everything is destroyed. And Andre is shocked that everything was destroyed so quickly. And Meade says the world, was always fragile. They made you think that the system was a rock, but it was a water balloon. One prick of the needle, and that's all that it took. So they're hearing that everything outside is destroyed. And I mean, who really knows? I'm still not sure, obviously, what's happening. It's only been kind of one episode, but I'm very curious to see where this goes in terms of how honest the portrayal of it is and if it's really happening. And then Meade says that there's been a spike in background radiation in the room, and she goes around with a Geiger counter, Meade does, and she sees a spike around Gallant and Stu, and they're both taken away. And Andre, Stu's partner, I think is supposed to assume that they went outside together, kind of had a dalliance. So they go in to get decontaminated. I think it's the second time that we've seen Evan Peters get decontaminated. He was deloused when he got into Asylum, when he was put into Asylum. But Stu still has high readings on the Geiger counter, and he says he doesn't want to go through it again. And Meade says that he won't have to, and he gets shot. Next commercial break, there's a knock at Venable's door. It's Meade. And Venable says we're the only ones who matter. Talk about the fact that the Geiger counter was faked. And Meade wonders what the cooperative would have to say about all this. Not clear about why they did it. I don't think it was just to eat him. I think it was probably to kind of scare them and threaten them, but I'm not sure why. And Meade says, I'm military, my family's military. Killing's in my DNA. I don't like the fact that military and killing are being kind of equated with each other. But then she says, I respect the chain of command, and she's kind of wondering what's happening. And then Venable says, forget the cooperative, it's only us. Then we go into dinner, and they're eating meat. The excuse is that there's like a special occasion because something terrible happened. And then they realize pretty quickly, and Andre says, and I think probably the best line in the whole episode, that the stew is stew. I do appreciate the dialogue. And then Joan Collins says, it's absolutely divine and it's full of fiber. I'm going to finish every drop. I am so looking forward to seeing how this character kind of progresses and what kind of dialogue and just character development we get from her. Then another commercial break, and we come back and Andre's saying to Joan Collins, you're a cannibal. And then they realize that Stu wasn't contaminated and that he was killed for nothing because they wouldn't have fed everybody, and they certainly wouldn't have eaten themselves contaminated meat. So that's an interesting question. Hourglass powder. And they're in the room talking about it, and the music stops and Emily notices it and says something. And then the song changes to The Morning After by Maureen McGovern. And Gallant thinks that it's a sign that the cooperative is coming, that it's going to happen like the morning after. And I think it's interesting, back to what I was saying as I started applying makeup, that when I heard that song, I thought about the movie, the TV movie, The Morning After, and not about them coming. But then, of course, they don't come. 18 months passes, and it's the same thing. And then Timothy narrates, and he is saying that the world got colder and deadlier. I don't know how they know that because they're inside, but he says that the world got colder and deadlier. They weren't rescued, but then he says something was born, and he and Emily like each other, and he says that they rationed their kisses and their kind of affection for each other to 1 kiss a week, I guess because they don't want things to get out of control, but I can kind of see where that's going, I think. And then they're at dinner. It has been 18 months, and she says Venable says they're going to be cutting back on the cubes, eat a last breakfast because they're running out of supplies and only 1 meal a day, not breakfast. And Gallant throws a plate. Gallant? Evan Peters throws a plate. Although I can't just say Evan Peters because he's also going to be playing Tate Langdon. So he throws a plate and freaks out, and then we realize that there's been another breach, and the alarms go off inside, and we see horses approaching. At first I thought that was going to be the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, but it was only 2 horses, and I loved the horse gas masks. That was intense. And it is Michael Langdon. And he shows his cooperative ID document, and then the song that starts to play is Tonight You Belong to Me, which is the version of that song that was played in the opening sequence of Murder House. La! And Michael's talking to Venable, and as they're talking, and Venable is introducing herself, and they're talking to each other, we see that Meade is killing the horses outside. Michael's not seeing it. He says there's another facility and that he'll decide who's going to go. And then we see something dragging the horses off camera, and Tonight You Belong to Me is still playing. And he says that those who go with him will live, and those who don't will end up like his horses, which obviously suggests that he knows a lot about what's happening, and maybe he's psychic and he's aware that his horses are being killed. And end. This is a nude stick in Royal. I'll speed you through this. So that's it. There wasn't a preview. I don't know how I feel yet about it. I really want to see how the Murder House and Coven crossover is going to be happening. Very curious about that. And I have high hopes. It wasn't my favorite episode ever, but I do understand that in the beginning you need some character development and plot development to kind of get us to where we need to be so the story can really take off. So I have high hopes for this. Let me know what you think about this season so far, kind of what it looks like, what you kind of hope for. I don't even know what I hope for. I just hope to see a lot of Murder House and Coven together. I don't really have a lot of expectations, so seeing a lot of old characters that I haven't seen in a long time is really the thing that I'm looking forward to most, which I am pretty sure that we'll see. So, thank you so much for watching. A lot to do in the world, a lot to do on YouTube, and it means a lot that you took some time to spend with me today. Take care, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.